Welcome to another episode of Founders Club. Today we're going to be interviewing Elena Cardone. She is the best-selling author of Build Your Empire, How to Have It All. She's also the founder of the Empower Women podcast, and she's built a real estate portfolio with over 12,000 units worth over $2 billion with her husband, Grant Cardone. We're going to be talking about some of her top tips for building a massive business with purpose, the keys to highly profitable, highly successful relationships, and how to get everything you want in life without having to settle. As always, if you have any questions, put them in the box down below. Make sure you judo chop that like button so other people just like you can find this video. And as always, if you like money and you like real estate, this is the show for you. Hit that subscribe button and we'll see you on the inside. Welcome to Founders Club, the show for real estate entrepreneurs. Very excited to be here today with Elena Cardone, not only a best-selling author, also a podcast host, and also co-owner, manager of a very large real estate portfolio with your husband, Grant. And just very excited to have you on today. So thank you for coming on Founders Club.
Oh, awesome, Oliver. Thanks for having me.
So I wanted to start with something kind of non-real estate. One thing that I thought was really inspiring was seeing your daughter go out on stage and speak in front of all those thousands of people. I don't even know how many people were in attendance, but I know it was an insane amount. And just watching her really just crush it and deliver an amazing keynote. So just talk to me about that. Like did you coach her on that? Did you help her with her confidence? Because I just thought that was amazing.
Thank you. So yeah, from early on, we've kind of indoctrinated the children, like, this is what we do. We want to help people. We want to make a difference. Part of what we do is we speak in front of people, and they've always been around us and watching Grant and myself. They went with us on a 19-country world tour in 2019. So they've seen us in front of people. They've been in front of people, large groups of people before. But nonetheless, every time they're backstage for one of the arenas they spoke at was at Marlins Stadium. 34,000 people were there. Each of my daughters, my now 10 and 12-year-old were started off at 6 and 8, and they've been speaking on stages for a long time. But every single time they're always nervous before they go on. And I say, that's okay. You can be nervous and you can do it anyway. You have a message and people want to hear from you. And that helps them. So they're both very emphatic on wanting to write their own speeches. They practice them in front of us minimally. When they're willing to take direction, Grant will coach them through a few little points here and there, and they do take direction well. But for the most part, that is their total origination. There's been some growth cons where my little one, Scarlett, won't even tell us what she's going to say.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it's just really cool to watch, because at that age to be able to do that and not only do it, but do it, at that level and just really do an amazing job was cool to see.
Yeah. It's thank you. Thank you. As a mom, I feel really great about that acknowledgement. I really try to rear the children to have confidence and certainty and give them enough playroom within the parameters to make their own decisions on things and situations in life. And they do know that there's a line and it's here. And if you cross it, I'm not even going to be mad at you, but if you cross that line, there are consequences that come with that. And you just have to deal with those consequences, like whether it's your phone gets taken away or this or that. But, of course, I'm not going to verbally belittle my children, nor am I going to hit them, or I don't want to degrade my children. I want them to feel confident and certain, and also learn the ways of life, the way the real world is sort of mimicked. So it feels really good to hear you acknowledge them for who they're becoming. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I have two young boys myself at home, 4 and 6. So I'm taking mental notes now.
Yeah, well, also, they have to know the parameter too.
Yeah.
So, my children don't get into trouble if they didn't know the rules.
Mm.
So that's just something I've implemented from a very young age. And I tell this story a lot, but I remember when Scarlett, my little one, who was around 2 or 3 years old at the time, drew all over the walls in the house. And when I saw it, I was like, whoa, this was a proud mom moment for me. And again, I'm not perfect. And I have moments where I failed at, and I think, oh, I could have done this better. But in this particular instance, I was really proud of myself, because when she painted on the wall, which would have been if I had done something like that as a child, I feel like the ramifications would have been, what's wrong with you? And why did you do that? And you don't know at that age, no one told you don't write on the walls. But in this moment, I was like, oh my gosh, Scarlett, you're an artist. I had no idea. This is amazing. Look how talented you are. So I really validated that. And then I went on to explain, look, but an artist, they draw on paper or canvas, and then you sign your name at the bottom. Very important to sign your name at the bottom. And then we can frame it and hang it on the wall. We have it forever. It's so valuable. You can sell it. You can make money. You can even buy a chocolate factory with all the money you make from your art, But now I have to paint the walls. We lose the art. So we don't paint on the walls. You see? And so he's never painted on the walls again.
I love
The walls belong to us. Your clothes, like I used to tell them when they were in school, they're uniforms, right? Because put yourself in a child's situation, right? A child is being told what they can do, what they can have, who they even they're forced to share their toys with their friends. Like, they don't really get to own or run or control their own life. Like, imagine you right now being stuck in a little child body, how mentally insane that would be for you. Wouldn't you hate it? So I try to give them as much little privileges and ownership over the things that they have. Their toys, those are their toys. If they want to ruin them, throw them off the deck, smash them to smithereens, yay, have fun. That's yours. It doesn't matter what it costs me. The minute I gave it to them, it's theirs. It's no longer mine. It's just this. They understand, okay, when you smash your toys, that's good. Have fun. But if you want another toy, what are you going to do to earn it? Like, I'm not just going to go buy you another toy just because you want one. It's you get gifted Christmas and birthdays, but you have to earn your toys and your things. And so back to the uniforms, when they were in their uniforms for school, I said, look, the uniforms are mine. I own them. You cannot draw on them. You cannot write on them. Your clothes, which I would go to Target and get all the clothes in the world, put them in the Target clothes. The Target clothes, these are your clothes. If you want to write on them, draw on them, you want to go get dirty at a party, you want to go in the park and tear it up, good, have fun. You're a kid, enjoy it. So they've always felt like they have ownership and they actually can control and be a cause over certain things in their life, so it's not like, so they have self-determinism. Do you know what I mean? They have self-determinism.
I love it.
So they're not feeling like, gosh, I am at effect of what everybody else expects me to do or be.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think it's a great way to look at it. And I think it's very empowering for them. And then they learn to live with their consequences, which I think is probably the most important thing.
Right.
So very cool. So now I want to kind of go back a little bit in your story and kind of maybe tell us about how, because I know you were in acting before you kind of ventured into the business world, and I know that's probably a big transition. So why don't you tell me about your transition from actress to entrepreneur?
Okay, so yeah, I moved to Los Angeles at 17 years old from New Orleans and became an actress and a model, and was never famous or you'd know who I was, but I did work a lot. Like, I bought a house, cars. I was on a TV show that did 95 episodes. It aired worldwide. I was on a ton of episodics. I shot a bunch of commercials. Like, I was sustaining myself as an actress for many years in Hollywood, which is not easy. And then, but I didn't understand anything about the business world at all, clearly, until my husband came along. And then I was like, why didn't I know this and meet you all those years before? Because it would have been different. That's for sure. But anyway, my first entrepreneurial moment I describe as this. It was in 2008. Grant and I had already been married for 4 years. I was pregnant with our first child. The economy collapsed. His world was over as he knew it. Mine was. There was no parts for pregnant women in their 30s, late 30s. Anyway, it was a real eye opener for me, and I had to really look at our circumstances. And that's when I just really evolved and thought, okay, do I want to go all in on my husband and put all the bets on him? Because he was the one that could get us out of this financial state that we were in. Because like I said, we were on the verge of losing everything. And I wasn't. And I had to be clear and honest and real about that. And yes, I was afraid I was going to be humiliated by all the women in the world that said that I quit my job to support a man, or that I'm a gold digger, or whatever they were all going to say about me. But, you know, being an entrepreneur means putting something at risk. So I took that financial risk because now I'm giving up my acting career, trading in order to trade up for this potential of what this empire thing could be. And that's when my first moment was, okay, if I could bring everything that I know how to do and be to the table, how can I support and facilitate Grant to go ahead and build this thing for us, with me being infrastructure, mindset, support? What could we do together as a couple? So that was really my first entrepreneurial move, which sounds easy in hindsight. Oh, she took a bet on her husband. But if you understood the psychological hurdles that I had to overcome for myself to be able to do that, especially because I was ingrained to believe to be this strong, independent woman, never depend on a man for anything. Like I was going to be a complete and utter disgrace, sellout to do what I did. But it worked and it paid off. And it was a bet that now in hindsight, I understand it was very ignorant of me to think I had to do everything on myself and on my own, because no one's ever built an empire alone. It's going to take more than one. It's going to take more than just your spouse too. It's going to take a whole army of people in your mission and in your empire. It takes a team. It takes but at the time I thought, oh, I have to do everything myself and it has to come through me or it's not valid. And, you know, I've just evolved and I've learned a lot of lessons. And now I realize that there's strength in numbers. And actually, when you start with the person that you're sleeping next to and work in a coordinated and collaborated effort together, that you can actually reach a heightened level of success. So I didn't know that back then, but all the lessons and everything that I've learned to switch over to this entrepreneurial mindset has either come from me having an epiphany off of an experience Grant put me through, or firsthand I've learned it from Grant, because clearly I'm a big fan, but he is really, I call him sensei. In that area that Grant does, he is sensei. He just sees things, understands things in a way that I had never even thought to think about like that.
That's amazing. And so what is your role now? What is your day-to-day like?
My day-to-day now is, now that I've ventured off and became a licensed realtor, now I'm trying to build my team. I'm working on getting deals. I'm a new agent, so I have to do a lot of indoctrination and studying and learning to become a professional in the industry. So I have that whole wing going. Then I have the whole wife wing going, which is everything that I already do. Then I have the mother wing going. So day to day is very busy. I have a lot of pieces and particles that come at me that want my attention. I'm building 10X ladies. I'm building empire. I have these empire masterminds throughout the year. I have events that I'm always doing. It's a lot going on. So I just have to delegate who gets to be the boss of that area and make the decisions and trust them to run that department. so that I can focus on kids at this point, or when I'm not focused with kids, I'm back at work, or I'm back on a Zoom, or I'm back in a training, or, I just kind of, I don't do balance because people ask me that all the time. How do you balance it all? I don't. The minute I think that there can be balance, I start comparing myself to what life I think is supposed to look like at a balanced life. And then I see my real life and what it looks like. And then it's very different. And I get into trouble when I do that. So I always go, don't compare. I don't try to do balance. I don't actually do good with balance. If I'm too balanced and I don't have enough going on, I start picking the wrong target and the wrong games to play. Like, I'm playing big games in life. Like, I want to reach 8 billion people on the planet. I want them to be winning with our products and services. I'm trying to restore the family dynamic to society. I have this whole women empowerment thing that I'm working on. Like, these are the big things. And so when you're doing that, it's a juggling act. It's which ball do I have to catch at the moment that's going to get my attention. Balancing to me seems like there's calm and everything's working, and there's no randomity, there's no motion. And when that's happening, I get into trouble. I know myself. Like, I need to have action and targets that I'm hitting. In that balance space, I get bored because not enough is going on. So I'll pick a fight with my husband in that moment because I like action. I like games, but I got to know this about myself. You know what I mean? And then how do I justify that my life isn't this humana that I think it's supposed to be, is because I know that pressure makes diamonds. And I'm not playing I want to be balanced in life. I'm playing I want to make a difference on the planet. I want to make a difference for the better. And I understand that that's going to come with some challenges and obstacles and, people that don't want me to succeed. And my life is going to look topsy-turvy, probably more often than not. And I have to just be okay with the way that my life looks and let other people do their life. And if anyone wants to look at my life, I'm willing to be transparent if I can help fast track somebody else's way to success. But I'm not saying my way is the perfect way by any means, or that my way is the only way. I'm just saying this way works for me. And I have certain stats in the area that would validate what I have created.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think a lot of really good points there. I think as entrepreneurs, balance is a big challenge. And I like what you said there about pressure making diamonds. One of the questions that, like you said, you get a lot and came up through the Facebook group a couple times. And I'd be curious just to what your advice is to this sort of feeling, because I'm sure you can relate, or at least could. I feel like the only time I start to see progress in my business is when I'm working a ton and regretfully missing out on family time. What would you say to that?
It is hard. It is challenging. I suffer from that. I get accused of being on my phone too much with my kids. And I have to make the time, like, to be a good mother, because that is important to me. So I know I have to kind of graph that stat as well. Like, am I making creative time where I'm in the kitchen cooking? Like, that's what they want, are we cooking a meal together? And in that time, I don't have to spend 12 hours a day with my child. But if I'm spending 1 hour to prepare a meal and I put everything on hold, and even though it's killing me, if I'm going to be truthful, it's killing me because I know that this attention needs me, the business or whatever. But of course, my kids, it's also important to me to be a very good mother. So I have to put in this time. And of course, I love being with my children, but I have to know when I'm creating that time, and it doesn't have to be a lot of time. And when is it that the kids just want my time because they're bored?
Right.
Because at that time, then I have to be able to be willing to have somebody step in and be in my shoes, occupying their time when they're bored, rather than when I know I need to put in the time. So what
Exactly.
my whole point to that is it doesn't have to be this long amount of time. Your kids probably don't even really want to spend that much time with you anyway. But it's about putting in that quality time and making it special when you're doing it.
Yeah, I think I really like what you said there about just making the time, because a lot of people feel guilty just about how much time they're able to spend with the kids and stuff like that. But for me, it's like it's Saturday mornings, basically from when my boys wake up till about noon. I know that's my time with them every week. It's I don't look at my phone. I don't even bring my phone most of the time. I'll take them, bike riding, take them to the beach, whatever it is. And that's kind of, and then obviously, like if they have a soccer game or a practice or something, I'm going to try to be there. But to your point, they probably don't really want to hang out with you all the time anyways. Let them breathe a little bit as well. And make time to make those important memories and make those count.
Yeah, exactly. And here's another big thing that I think we do really well is what I was saying earlier, is that we really indoctrinate the kids and include them so they feel like they're participating. So because they should, right? And so we tell them, look, we're here, we're making a difference. This is my personal goals. This is Grant's personal goals. This is our goals as a couple. This is our goals as a family. And then if they so choose to participate in that and help with that, it's like, okay, how you can help in that. It is in an indirect way, but when you allow me to be here so that I'm at a podcast with Oliver, reaching somebody that I could help potentially, that here's a piece of data that can help them in their life. Well, you being home, like Scarlett is home right now because she's homeschooled, and I know she wanted to hang out with me because she's bored right now. But when you allow me to be here, then you are, and I don't have my attention focused on you because you're not causing me trouble at the house. You're not calling my phone 20 times. You're not having an accident or an injury or whatever. You're actually allowing me to help someone. And when you do that, Scarlett, you are actually helping that person. Like that is a way that you are contributing to us as a family, reaching 8 billion people so they can be winning from our products and services. And so that is acknowledged. Like when I go home, I'm like, thank you so. Oh my God, my phone started talking. Siri started talking to me. She's like, one moment. So that I get like, wow, thank you. We helped some people today, Scarlett. Thank you for that. So she doesn't feel left behind. She feels like, okay, when she did that, I'm actually helping and contributing. So they're included in the family dynamic, not this is what I'm doing and this is what Papa does and you're on your own. Sorry, we don't have time for you. No, it's wow, you help people by allowing us to do what we're doing.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's great advice. So I want to shift gears a little bit. I love the name of your book, Build an Empire, How to Have It All. So let's talk about how to build an empire and have it all.
Okay. So, I mean, it all really starts with a purpose. So what is your purpose? The commitment really is the first step. Just be committed to, okay, I don't even know what this whole idea of an empire is, but it sounds good. I'm going to commit to it. Just have a commitment. You break the commitment tomorrow. The beauty of it is that was in the past. You just recommit. Like you don't need to make yourself wrong that you started something and failed a million times. It's okay. I get to commit and recommit in a new unit of times, as many times as I need, until at the end of all of this, I'm looking back at an empire. You know what I'm saying? It's just like who cares? I'm not the same person I was in the beginning of this call, much less 5 years ago. So stop comparing yourself to that person. Just recommit. It's not a big deal. But the purpose. So what is your purpose? That's established that number one. What is it? Like in 2008, when we were on the verge of losing everything, my entire purpose was not to lose it all. How do we survive this? That was it. There was no care about Oliver or any of your people listening on this podcast. I could only take care of myself and think about myself at that point. Okay. Now, my point to that is as I've evolved, and now my purpose are these big, grand, purposes like, oh, women empowerment, and we could change the world, and family dynamic, and I want financial literacy for all, all this stuff that my husband and I are working towards. These were not our purposes back in 2008. So it can change. The point is find a purpose, any purpose. It doesn't even have to be the purpose or the one that's going to be what you have next week. It's just today. What is your purpose? What is the purpose of what you are doing? And you want to latch on to that, because that's going to be the thing that carries you through all of the rejections, the no's, the challenges, the sucker punches, the gut punches. You know what I mean? It's now I have such a bigger purpose that I can't stop. Even if I want to stop, I can't stop, because I'm trying to do a bigger thing than just this little thing right here. Find your purpose.
I love what you said there about purpose. I also like, because when people hear purpose, they feel like it's a little woo woo and all of that. But I think just like, it doesn't need to be your ultimate purpose, right? Like you said, like find a purpose. If that's not the right purpose, the past is the past. Recommit to a new purpose and keep moving.
Yeah. Like what is the purpose? Like, the people that think it's woo woo, they're probably going through life like woo woo, and life is probably happening to them. You have to have targets, specific targets that you put in place in order to know, did I shoot to the left? Did I shoot to the right? Below, the top? Or did I hit the bullseye? And if I hit the bullseye, what do I need to do to recreate and hit it again? You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta at least know what you're dealing with. Like, what is the barometer? What is the purpose? Am I making a difference? Are people winning with our products and services? How do I graph that? How do I have a statistic in that? How many podcasts do I have to do if I'm trying to reach 8 billion people? How many Instagrams do I have to do? How many events do I have to do? You understand? It's going to start getting my mind to start going, okay, now if I want this at the other end, what do I need to do? How do I reverse engineer in order to have that at the other end? What do I need to be first? What are the actions I need to take in order to have that end result that I want? And it comes from knowing your purpose. Why are you doing all of this? If you don't know why, you will quit every single time the minute it gets tough. You'll just be like, well, I don't need that. Do what you love. Do what you love, the money will follow.
Exactly.
Which is only half true. I'm doing what I love, but I'm not on a daily basis always doing every single thing that I love. There's times when I have to make phone calls that I don't love to make. I have to confront people that I don't love to have to confront or correct or whatever. There's lots of things on the path. Do what you love, the money will follow. That is more not like than sometimes like. Do you know what I'm saying? But people have wrong ideas about things. They think, oh, it's supposed to all just be this great love experience and money's going to flow in. No, it's learn to love what you hate and maybe the money will come in.
That's right. Yeah. Even doing what you love, right? Like I love surfing. And if I was a professional surfer, I would still need to do things that I don't love in order to do that. Like, you're probably working out every day. You're probably on a really strict diet. You're probably, doing X, Y, and Z that isn't fun, but you're doing it because, it leads you down the path of where you want to get, which is that ultimate purpose, and then kind of like working backwards from there.
Exactly. Like the sacrifice phase. What do you have to sacrifice? What are you willing to give up in order to go where you want to be? Something always has to be given up, whether it's, the food, or if you're on that strict diet, or whether it's you give up going partying because you got to be catching waves if you're a professional surfer and you can't be hungover doing that. You know what I'm saying? Or if it's people that are like, why do you have to surf all the time? Like, when are you going to get a real job? And then you go surfing and you have a crash and you break your leg, and then you think, well, was that just a coincidence? No, like when people put stuff on you that you have to eat their junk all the time, then it results in the physical universe in another way. So sometimes it means you have to give up people or bad habits, or start surrounding yourself with people who can actually elevate you and who are like, dude, you're not training enough. Like, what are you doing home? Saturday morning, like we got the Olympics coming up. Let's go. Because you're that good. I believe in you. That's the people you want to be around,
That's exactly right. And that can only happen once you're clear on that end goal, right? Because once you're clear on that end goal, the other stuff just will naturally happen. You'll naturally be more attracted to people that are, doing business at a higher level, people that are, making more money than you, better at this skill than you. And it kind of it magnetizes all together.
Right. It's that reverse engineering. It's like, what do you want your life to look like at this end? And then back up, and who do you have to become? And what do you have to do? What actions do you have to do to get there? And when you're clear on that, when you're clear on your purpose or what you want your life to look like, then you can reverse engineer and then start living and taking those actions in order to have that picture. And then once you're clear, it's like what you said, then you're going to start to see, well, what are the core values? Okay, what do I stand for? Who am I? Well, I'm ethical, I'm accountable, I'm results oriented, I'm honest, I have integrity. And if I'm not that, then what do I need to do in order to become that and have that? And how do I get I'm disciplined. I don't know many more people that are more disciplined than me, and if I want that around me, when you can finally look and see what you expect and demand of yourself, then you will start expecting and demanding it in others. And when you start seeing out points like, okay, they're not results oriented, or, they don't do what they say they're going to do on a consistent basis. This isn't just, oh, they failed one time at something and now they're out of the empire. I mean, come on, everyone has a mistake. But I'm talking about long-term chronic situations, like continuous not being accountable, or continuous whatever the thing is. You're going to be able to start seeing who you want in your life based on when you set the standard for your core values and what you will and will not accept from the others in your organization or in your inner circle at the very least.
Yeah. I like it. I like all that. What about like some practical tips on how people go about thinking about that kind of stuff? Because
read my mind.
yeah, no, that's where I was going with that. I was going with, you really laid out a good blueprint. And it just feels like something that people don't really do or make the time to do. They're more worried about what's on TV on Saturday night, or did their DVR record their favorite show, than they are really like thinking about their life and their goals and their purpose and all of those other things. So can you just kind of maybe speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, it's really looking at, are you going to make a commitment to this? Do you want to take your life in your hands and in your control? My life does not look the way it looks by accident. It was well thought out. There were many actions that were taken to have the life that we have. So I would say the person that is committed to having a life look like the way they want it to look like, then what are you willing to give up in order to have that? What are you willing to change? So if your standard operating basis is you love your TV time and your Netflix on Saturday night, and you do this and you do that, well, that life is giving you equals normal, looks like everybody else, looks like maybe I can afford an extra pair of shoes this month, maybe not. Then you're going to continue to get that. If you really are willing to leave that comfortable life that you've got very figured out, that you know how to do very well, then you're going to have to make a change, and you're going to have to change the operating basis. So now you're going to have to rework your life and your calendar to do something different. That was me writing do and underlining it. You're going to have to do something different, meaning, okay, instead of TV time on Saturday night, I watch a Grant Cardone video, or I read 3 chapters of Build an Empire, or I get on my real estate course and learn real estate, or whatever it is that you're trying to become. Like, how do you do that? Or I'm going to be disciplined and get my 1 hour workout in every day, because I can imagine that if I did that every day for 30 days, something would change, not only in my physical body, but I would have more confidence. And certainly if I want to be a multi-millionaire, billionaire, I want to be a leader or run my own company, you would think that that person would have confidence. So how do I get more confidence? Do what you say you're going to do. Okay, well, let me start with being in control of my workouts. Let me get that in. After 30 days, wow, I actually do what I say I'm going to do. I can actually trust myself. You know, maybe other people will start seeing that and trust me too, you know? So this is what I would say to people. This, you have to actually write it down and start looking at your life and what is the ideal life that you would want, and then compare it to what you have. And if the pain point is strong enough, then you are going to be willing to leave those old habits, pick up some new ones in its place, and understand you're in sacrifice phase for the next however long it takes to get where you want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, no question. Sacrifice is definitely the big, the missing piece, the action and the sacrifice. And I would say for the rest of the plan, guys, go check out the book, Build an Empire. It's really highly recommend it. It's available in all sorts of different formats. So whatever format you like to digest your content, definitely go check that one out. This is another question that also came up quite a bit, and one that you kind of just mentioned is the getting comfortable piece. And this came from Jose Montez on how do you avoid getting comfortable, and what continues to drive you and the family, even though you have accomplished so much from a third person's perspective?
Because we're really clear again on our purpose and where we want to go. And we have set purposes and targets and goals so big and so unattainable. It will take us, probably a whole lifetime and probably still not achieve our goals. 8 billion people to know who you are. I mean, that's lunatics. It's psychotic. It's crazy. It's who do you think you are? But I'm crazy enough to think that maybe I have a chance. But the point is when you set a goal that big, you have a long time to stay motivated by that target of what is the possibility that maybe I can hit it. And it also creates enough of a purpose that's big enough for us to where the little stuff is easier to let slide or not make a big deal out of, because it's really, in the big scheme of things, not a big deal. Like when you're going for big goals like that, like, okay, can we really impact and make a difference on the planet for the better? Like, wow, what if we could? That is so rewarding to me, so.
No, I like that. And it does tie back perfectly to what you're talking about purpose. And the more we're talking this out, like, I'm starting to realize I've heard you mention these few things several times over the course of this conversation. You want to impact 8 billion people. You want to restore the family dynamic. Mm-hmm. You want to empower women in several different ways. And like, you're very clear on that to the point where you've mentioned it already a couple times just on this short conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how I stay driven, because I'm nowhere close, even though, we've hit certain milestones and markers, but I'm nowhere close in comparison to where the end phenomena or the end goal is. Like, we've only barely scratched the surface. It wasn't until just recently Grant and I stopped saying every single weekend, when are we going to make it? When are we going to make it? When are we going to make it? Like, up to 6 months ago, we said that every weekend, and people could look at us and laugh, but in comparison to the big picture of where we see ourselves and where we're going, it feels like we're barely tapping the surface. Like, if we're really going to do that, like, imagine all the different areas and vines and roots we have to plant out all over the world globally, licensees, Cardone capital investors. Like, I'm trying to spread it out, and there's so many other people that I have to joint venture with and connect up with, because I know empires don't get built alone. Like, I need assets in other places in order to help me with those goals. So I'm constantly motivated, because the more excited I am and the more wins that we do have, the more I'm inspired to keep going, which is why it's also very important when you do set a goal that's so unattainable, like 8 billion people. It's very important to set the sub targets. You know, I can work out 1 hour or 2 hours a week, a day, whatever it is. I can drink my gallon of water, like sub targets, things you can hit to make sure you're like, wow, I'm actually winning. I'm hitting targets, because you have to have wins along the way. You know, make firm the wins, ignore the losses. The losses are only there to self-correct. Did I go a little to the left on that target? Yeah. Okay. Just go a little to the right. That's the only reason I use losses, is to help me self-correct and course adjust to be able to hit the target. That's it. You know, and then I make firm the wins. You got to have those wins, or you're just going to get like, well, why am I doing all this? Life is still got to be fun. It's got to be creative. It's got to be, you know, it's got to have passion. It's got to have life, you know?
Yeah. So important. And I think to your point about, you know, the drive and setting these big goals, that is the drive, right? That is the driver. You're setting just insane goal of wanting to impact 8 billion people, which will, you know, could potentially take years. And so you've set your sub goals along the way, so you're able to track and kind of see how things are going. But you know, when you set a goal that big, the drive is easy, because you know you're constantly going after it to make that happen.
Constantly, exactly. You get it.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And so let me talk about that a little bit too, because that's like a huge goal, right? And obviously that wasn't the starting goal. Your starting goal, back to the survival story, was just surviving, and then
I'm not losing it all financially. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, and then kind of walk me through some of the goals that you had along the way from that, like, oh my gosh, we might lose everything, to like where you're at now with, you know, $1.9 billion of assets under management.
That's an old number. We're at 12,000 units now, 4.8 billion.
Even better, even more impressive.
Thank you. So walk you through that process. Well, let's just take that number, the billion. That was a target. So $1 billion was a target. 10,000 apartment units was a target. So it was 10,000. Next is 50, and then 100. So there's been different targets along the way. The first one was back in 2008. The billionaire target which seemed so ridiculous, because literally we were on the verge of losing everything financially. And why did I pick that? I picked that because I thought if we did $1 billion, then we will have had to transact with, how many people would we have had to transact with in order to have $1 billion? Like, a lot of people. Like, if you look at the Forbes list, there's nobody on that list that isn't known and doesn't have their product everywhere, right? So that's the whole birthplace of the billion, which was a marker, right? Which was a target that we could see in the physical universe. Yes, we're doing enough things right, and we're avoiding a lot of wrong mistakes in order to have that Super Bowl ring of life called $1 billion. So that was one.
Yeah, no, it's great. I love that. It's very inspiring.
And again, like, you know, when I told Grant about the billion, he was upset about it, first of all, because he was like, well, you don't have to go out and do all of that, and how can you put that on anybody? And that's like a horrible thing to do. And I had to explain to him, well, I don't really need $1 billion to like become somebody or to be me. So let's get that off of the table. I'm totally happy with you, with us, you know, but where could we go? You have the, meaning to Grant, right? I was like, you have the potential to to be a giant. You're better than these people that I've already met who are billionaires. You have more to offer the world. So why not you? You can actually do more good and help more people. So to not do that is a transgression to yourself. Like, so there's that. And then B, he's the one who told me he wanted to reach 8 billion people on the planet. So I'm like, okay, so there's that factor. Like, this is going to get you out there. And the third reason, which was the greedy reason, which is, if you have somebody who is of that magnitude and they're not playing on that magnitude, then the object of all of that energy is going to be me. It's going to be the one that they're with. And I'm going to be the recipient of all that angst. And so I'm like, no, it's not me. I'm not your enemy. I'm actually in your team, buddy. That's the target out there. So I just directed it out there. Now, talking about that, also, you can't make a demand like that on anybody and then say, okay, I want you to go do this, which I know is going to require all this time, attention, social media. You're going to have to put yourself out there. There's, it's an impossible. I thought $1 billion was an impossible goal when I said it. I didn't know we could actually hit it. I mean, I thought we could. Yeah. I'm never going to discount it, but secretly I was like, is that really real? But at the same time, I don't then get to say, oh, when is enough enough? You work too much. When are you going to come home and watch TV with me? When are we having our family time or your wife time? Or, I never did any of that for a whole entire decade. He never heard anything but support and keep going. We're not there yet. What do you need to do? How can I help you? What's going on? How do we get more people? How do we hire more people? What do you need? Who can help, being a sounding board for him. That's what I'm talking about. The sacrifice phase. I say you can have it all, and you can, but what are you willing to give up in order to have it all? I was willing to give up personal time. Not that my marriage is neglected. I mean, you have to create in the marriage too, or it's going to disintegrate and decay. Just like anything, it needs attention too. But above what needs attention, I didn't demand all the other attention. That access. I'm like, no, let's go build this empire. Let's never be in this financial situation that we're ever in again. Let's go build financial legacy. And then if we ever get to the point where we have it, let's keep this an open book, good, bad, or ugly. And we're not perfect, but open to other people so that they can walk the steps and have whatever their version of our life looks like.
Yeah. And just back to what you just said there, I think like it's really cool to see how you guys are so on the same page and like working like a team. So maybe kind of touch on that a little bit about any advice you have for like, and it doesn't have to be like, in a marriage necessarily, but like for business partners, for any of that, because you guys seem very aligned in what you're trying to do. You're definitely like, very positive influences for one another and all of that. And you guys have been for a long time, and you're seeing a lot of success, I think, because of it. So can you maybe touch on that a little bit, or kind of advice around that?
Well, first of all, what our love looks like is helping each other achieve their goals and their dreams. So when he helps me by dedicating his sales force that normally does Cardone Enterprises or whatever, but now he pulls them off of that so that they can come help me sell tickets to 10X Ladies or something like that. And then I have this big 10X Ladies event that's massively successful, and then I feel great, and I pulled off this thing, and then lives were changed, and then I feel good. That makes me fall in love with him more, and then I feel more fortified with him. When I'm behind the scenes helping him to achieve these goals that he's doing, then he can trust me, depend on me, and count on me. And it feels good to know that, my wins are his wins. And then, like, you just can never ask somebody to give up their goals or their dreams for you. That's not the complete opposite of what love is for us. So love isn't like, okay, prove you love me by turning off your phone and watching TV and holding my hand. And if you do that for 1 or 3 hours or 30 minutes or whatever, then I'll know you love me. That's not the game we play in our house. So there's that. And then how do we work well together? Well, we have our roles divided up based on strengths and weaknesses, not based on male, female, but strengths and weaknesses. And we trust each other to execute in our roles. So I might be a sounding board to him in the business, but clearly he knows how to run that show. He runs the business. He's going to make all the executive decisions. We're equal in marriage, but we are not equal in the business. He is, I mean, and I'm not degrading myself when I say this, but he knows more than me in the business. I mean, I'm just very real and with the facts, you know, and I think a lot of people, for whatever reason, aren't willing to confront the truth of things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are, you can get further ahead faster. Now, I think I'm better at running the family than he is. So I make all the executive decisions in the family, like every single one, where we're going, who's around the kids, whether they're homeschooled or not homeschooled. And he can be the sounding board, but at the end of the day, he's going to trust me to execute in my role and know that I'm going to make it work, you know, and I trust that he's going to make the business work. So we work together, but we each get to be the boss of our own divisions, and we don't bypass each other in our roles. And I'm so busy trying to get my division 10x that it keeps me out of his business. And I think the same goes for him, which is a little bit trickier because, of course, as a father and as a family man, you know, to ask him not to have all the participation or make all the executive calls is a little bit trickier. But this is the plan that most of the time works when we're working well together.
Yeah, no, I like that, because I think that's good advice for relationships, for marriages, for business partnerships. It's kind of let everyone play off their strengths and weaknesses, and then kind of like stay in your lane, and you have to trust the other person to execute on the stuff in their lane, and not, you know, try to be all up in there and vice versa. And I think that way, as long as everyone's doing what they say they're going to do and hitting the goals and things are moving forward, then I think that's really the optimal solution.
Yeah, you're working towards the couple's goals. Like we're working towards the couple's goals together, you know?
I like that. So what about the inevitable dispute resolution? Because I'm sure there's times, especially as both business partners and husband and wife, where there's a disagreement. He's adamant about one thing, you're adamant about the other thing. What is the process for resolution?
You know, it does sound cliche, but it is truly, ultimately, it comes down to communication, real communication, not arguing. When we argue, each of us solidifies in our own rightness and our own like way. And then we become stuck on having to like fight to be right. But it's just really about coming together at the right time, meaning after we're not tired or hungry. So after we're fed, and just really bringing events to the table and trying to have awareness with the way that you communicate without trying to make the other one wrong. And again, we're not perfect, but this is what we try to do.
Right.
Have that communication, establish as many rights about what the other person is doing. And owning where you fall down, like where, okay, you're right on that. I can be better. Let me figure out how I can rework the system so I can make this aspect better or not. It's really coming together to the table objectively, trying to figure out what's best for the two of you and the goal and the mission and the end purpose, rather than trying to fight to be right, if that makes sense. And when we do that, we get over the hurdles a lot faster. And every time we talk, it brings us closer together, even if we haven't fully figured it out. Sometimes it takes multiple communications. Sometimes they're blow-ups, and it's like, okay, that didn't go like I planned it to go. But it's sunk in my head, and I know it's sunken in his head. And then there's a coming back, and like, it's just a constant trying to figure it out when there's those moments where it's not working. And my life is not a fairy tale. My marriage is not a fairy tale. Marriages take work. They take creation. They're worth it when you make them work, and they pay off big. But they're not always easy, and you are dealing with another mind and another person and feelings or ideas, and it is, and then you add kids and then they have their own, and it's different. I don't have all the answers. I just try to figure it out as best as I can, knowing, I committed to this partner. I love this partner. We're winning together. And I understand that we're going to have hurdles to go through. And it doesn't mean every time we go through one, we have to bring up the divorce word. It just means we have to get through it so we can get on the other side and get stronger and better and fall more in love until the next hurdle. And then we have to get through that one, because that's the way our life looks like,
Right.
my life, it's not a honeymoon phase all the time where it's just like, oh, we're winning, we're so in love, it's this, it's that. It's like, no, people are quitting, this has happened, this thing goes off, this person did this, boom, this mistake happened, I got to go deal with that. There's a lot of stress in our environment, and stress can come out around the people around you. I do it, he does it, probably do it to the kids more often than not, what I'm not. And it's just about, okay, recognizing it and figuring out a way to change it and make it different and get certain systems and policies in place so it doesn't keep rehappening as often or as big. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I know exactly what you're saying, and I think also because I've had a business partner, many years, and we've had all the same issues and blowout fights and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you need to just be clear on the team, and that the team comes first. Just like you were saying, in the marriage and business in your case, and just having open, clear communication, clear goals, clear lanes that everybody's in. Let them be the decision makers in that lane. And then for us, we have a mentor, a guy we coach with, Mike Ferry. And so he's the ultimate. If we are just at our, if we're just can't come to a resolution, he's kind of like our third party. All right, we just defer to him. And no matter what, if he agrees with you, I'll let it go. If he agrees with me, you let it go. And we just keep moving.
See, that's a good workable solution. Like you found what works for you. That's amazing. The thing I will tell couples not to do is, when you're having a situation like that, do not tell anyone about it. You don't get to tell your mom, your girlfriends, nobody. Keep your own counsel, unless in your case you have a designated stable person that you believe can be objective about it and only deal with it with that person. I can't, every time Grant and I go through something, even though I'm willing to keep my life transparent, I'm willing to tell you this, I'm willing to tell you this stuff, I'm not going to let the world know when I'm in an argument with my husband that when we clean up together gets cleaned up, and then now I have to go deal with all the other people that have this bad mark, but it was really a misinterpretation and I failed to explain this part of it, but now you have a bad vision of Grant. And now every time I see you, you're going to remind me of that. And then I have to go see Grant, and it's going to remind me of that. And then I might bring up the fight all over again. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just not a good policy. Why have everyone get in your business when they don't know your business? That is between me and Grant and our marriage. I did not marry all these other people. They do not know what goes on between us. That is that part has to be sacred for us, or we would be done by now if we had all these other opinions and influences. People don't get to talk to me about that kind of stuff.
I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Right?
That's the stuff you want to keep private for sure.
And then I can talk about after the fact. Oh, we argued about this, and this is how we handled it, and that is that I can do that.
Yeah, then it becomes a teachable moment. That's a lot different.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Well, one question I always like to wrap up with. I know, like we were talking about earlier, you have two beautiful young daughters. I have two young boys at home, 4 and 6. And I'm just curious what your advice would be to them and the other kids out there on how to be successful in life.
how to be successful in life is 4 and 6. The thing I would say is trust your own instincts. And I want you to respect adults because adults deserve to be respected. However, I want you to know as a child, just because you're a child doesn't mean what you know isn't important. Your knowingness and your truth is your truth. And just because an adult tells you something that's contrary to that doesn't mean that they are right because they are an adult. You get to have your own beliefs and your own truths that are yours. And so adults can be wrong. They can have misinformation. They can not know. They can have bad information. So don't just take an adult's word to be truth just because they're an adult. And just because you are a child does not invalidate who you are and your beingness and what you know.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's amazing. I think, like you said, they deserve to be respected, but it doesn't mean that they're always right. And, I always tell my kids every night before they go to bed, hey, you can do anything you want in the whole world. You just got to make a good plan and work really hard and stick to it every day. And, along with all of that, I think, and what you said earlier, I really resonated with at the very beginning of the podcast, just about giving them their box and then really letting them have the freedom within inside their box, but, letting them know where the boundaries are and what the consequences are of going outside those boundaries, and then kind of like letting them
choose. And just like an adult, like if I want to make my mistake, then I suffer the ramification. I don't need to then be berated and made wrong about it. It's like, no, you knew the consequence was if you did more than 1 hour of TV time or whatever, or you cursed at your teacher again or whatever, because they might not know you can't curse at your teacher. Like I said, if they didn't know the rules, they're not getting in trouble for it. Now you can't, not that my kids did that. I'm making things up, right? But now if you curse at your teacher, you are getting the phone taken away. They know the rules, that they can make their own decision. You curse at your teacher, phone goes away. You do it again, it's going to be something worse. It's going to be another barrier or restriction. But you can do what you want. It's your life. You get to live it. You can be in control and have the consequences or rewards of your life.
I love it. Well, thank you very much. I think that's great advice from top to bottom. I definitely took a bunch of great notes. And for everyone out there, all you guys listening, definitely check out Elena's book. Check out the podcast. Check out the 10X Ladies events. I'm sure those are really amazing for the lady entrepreneurs out there. And really appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me, Oliver. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, thanks again. And as always, guys, if you like money and you like real estate, hit that subscribe button because this is the show for you. We'll see you on the next one.